Hey everybody, welcome. And I wanted to talk about targeting today. And if someone would recognize that they're being targeted right off the bat. So, if you're a targeted individual, you already know what to expect, you already know what's going on. But for those of you who don't know what's going on or don't understand the concept, let me ask some questions here. First of all, when you come home from a hard day's work, do you walk in the house and notice that things are changed around? Maybe some things are missing. Maybe some things that were previously missing are put back where they normally are. How about finding vandalism? Small but noticeable vandalism, like threads being pulled out of clothing, bedding, carpeting, or furniture, otherwise, anything at all. How about chips? Chips that were never there before. You come home and you go, I never saw that chip in that wood before. I wonder where that came from. Is this building up on you? Do you expect things in the mail that don't come for a real long time, or you have to make several phone calls in order for them to come? Are you noticing that when you're out driving, you're being surrounded by cars that seem to be blocking you in and holding you in or stopping you from going forward? You look ahead of the cars and it's empty space. You look behind you and it's empty space. These cars are only crowding around where you are located. How about slander? Notice that people aren't maybe being nice to you, or possibly avoiding you sometimes, or looking at you askance. Maybe you're not getting the same good deals you got before. That happened to me with my car insurance company after some problems that I had. I'm not going to go into now. It's in another one of my videos, when I was in a worse mood than I am right now. But all of these things, if they're culminating all at the same time, then you're probably a targeted individual. Also, you might notice you wake up in the morning and things are different. Maybe, they'll go as far as cutting your hair while you're asleep, okay? Not so obvious, not all at the same time, but slowly they will mess with your toenails or fingernails. How do they do this? Well, they drug you. So, one of the ways they do this, the major way, is through gases coming up from your floorboards. Are you experiencing or noticing odors that don't belong in your home or that you've never noticed before? Strange smells that don't seem like they're working, or when you smell them you start getting dizzy. Maybe you're waking up dazed and dizzy, like you're being drugged. I mean, you will feel it, okay? You will feel the drugging effect. So there's no doubt about it that you will know when it's there. So normally, when people are targeted, it's something that precedes the targeting. And the number one thing there's two number one things, okay? So you have number one, number two. I don't know which one comes first. But a big one is breaking up with a boyfriend or a husband. Breaking up with either one can get you targeted. You don't have to have kids with them. However, I believe, without statistical evidence, that if you do have children with someone and you break up with them, that if he doesn't care about the kids' well-being, he's just going to want to rip them from you regardless of how the kids feel about it, in order to not pay child support or in order to punish you for something. This can happen both ways. I have talked to men who have also experienced harassment after they broke up with a female. It's much more rare, almost non-existent compared to my other people I speak with, but it is a very obvious thing that happens. You will know, because just before the targeting, if you broke up with somebody, bang, that could be the person who's arranging this to happen to you. The second biggest thing is whistleblowing. And whistleblowing can be everything. You don't have to blow the whistle on the CIA. You can call the cops on your next door neighbor for beating their children, and guess who's going to get punished for it? Him? Probably not. Probably you. Because unless there's obvious signs of abuse, they're not going to do anything. We can see this problem over and over if you read the news, with law enforcement not wanting to make any strides towards protecting children because they're not sure that they're really in danger or not. You can see it, social services does it, but the cops really have to get in there and fix the problem. But that's besides the point. So even to something as small as calling the cops on a neighbor, getting an argument with somebody. Some people just get in an argument with someone at a club, and it starts after that. Now, when that happens, you can almost bet 100% that the person who is targeting you, who felt slighted at the club you went to, probably has narcissistic personality disorder. People with narcissistic personality disorder, if you look at them sideways, they'll take it as a slight and they'll try to hurt you back. Even if it's just like normal behavior and you're just sticking up for your rights, or you're just saying, no thank you, I don't want that drink, if some guy tries to buy you a drink at a bar, and the targeting starts after that, that person has narcissistic personality disorder. As we know, all psychopaths have narcissistic personality disorder, but not all people with narcissistic personality disorder are psychopaths. Okay, so they get their feelings hurt really fast. Of course, this comes from childhood. This comes from somebody berating them a lot as children, someone making them feel bad. And you bet if I was there and I saw someone do that, I would take actions to make that kid feel better about themselves, just like that. Not because I'm worried about the people they're going to hurt in the future, but because I feel sorry for the kid, right? You want to help children. You see children in pain. You see children being abused by their parents, even verbally, even beratingly. I would step in and try to talk to the kid and make them feel better about themselves. I mean, you can't really call social services on parents verbally abusing children, can you? I'm not really sure. It seems like they really have their hands full nowadays with actual real abuse. So my point is, excuse me, my point is, everybody can be targeted, even for the minor things they do. Calling the health department on the ice cream man, telling some guy who's harassing you to go F himself, that kind of thing. Anything can make it happen. Okay, but usually it's breaking up with a partner, often when you have children, but often when you don't have children as well, and also complaining about someone to anybody, complaining about someone to the cops, complaining about the church, complaining about the store down the street, and I gotta tell you, I don't complain about anybody. I cut everybody slack. The only time I complain about somebody is when I feel like someone's in danger, or when I'm in danger. If I feel like I'm in danger, or my children are in danger, or grandchildren are in danger, I will speak up. First to the people that are causing the problem, and if that doesn't work, then of course I have to go over their heads, because what choice do I have, right? Some people like to take the law into their own hands. I'm not one of those people. I am by the book, walk a straight line, do all the right things all the time, by the law. And so those are the main reasons, okay? Like I said, it can be any reason. You can be having a disagreement with your landlord. If you threaten a lawsuit against your landlord, or threaten a lawsuit against anybody, the harassment will begin immediately, okay? Usually with me it happened within 1 day. But with a lot of people, it can happen like within the first week or two, or sometimes even month or two. For whatever reason, they decide to wait and put that on hold. So those are the major reasons. I've seen other people get targeted because they just inherited a house. They just came into some money for some reason or another, whether it was inherited, whether it came from a big win at the stock market, whether they just landed a good job. It can come in from anywhere. It doesn't matter. Once the bad guys find out you've got that money, the targeting and harassment can begin, because basically they're after the money, right? This is they're targeting for financial reasons. Also, the same things apply. The targeting always remains the same. illegal entry into the home, vandalization, gassing and poisoning, group stalking, gang stalking while you're driving, trying to cause accidents, staging accidents. That's another way that gang stalkers make money, by staging accidents on purpose so that they can claim you're the bad guy. You're going to, their insurance company's going to pay them a lot of money. They have their mechanics who are willing to split the difference with them so they don't even have to get their car fixed, because actually there's nothing to fix, right? Because they basically hit you. Money is another big reason. You come into some money. I've even heard of people whose families will do it to them because, like, let's say in one case, this woman or man, I've talked to both, took care of their dying father, for example, right there in the house by his bedside, taking care of the bedpans, taking care of everything that's happening and with him, and trying to feed him, to changing the beds. Hold on. Whew, okay. Got a daycare downstairs. It is whatever. So, yeah, and so what happens is his father, of course, gives him everything in the will, because all the other kids are out clowning around or making money or not calling dad to see how he is, not showing up to say goodbye when he's on his deathbed, whatever. Dad registers this, gets in touch with his attorney, gives all the money to the kid who gives a crap about him, who cares about him, who's taking care of him. After that happens, the other kids throw a baby hissy fit. Oh, we're all his kids. We should be able to split it equally. They can't. The attorneys won't allow it. And so the person designated as the inheritor gets all of the money and the house or whatever, and then the targeting can start against them. Right then you're going to think, well, it's probably the family members, right? The other siblings and the other people who think that they want a piece of the action there. And, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that's a possibility. You get kids who are ignoring their parents while they're dying of cancer and don't even want to go say goodbye or talk to them or keep them company or make them feel better or do anything. They're probably going to do the same thing to you. Okay, they just don't care. They're heartless and they just don't care about their own parents. And I don't know, maybe their parents did something to them. I don't know, maybe it's for good reason. But for whatever reason they did it, the parents just said, you know what, you're not helping me, I'm giving the money to someone else. But, it can go that way too for financial reasons. That's only one scenario. Other scenarios are you come into a lot of money or you're making good money, then the mob will descend on you, organized crime will descend on you, start this whole harassment thing against you, like the things I've just mentioned. And there's a whole list of things that'll happen to you. Okay, the drugging, the gassing with stuff that makes you sick or that makes you feel sleepy, coming out of the floorboards, all that's going to happen too, along with everything else I mentioned, and there's more. They will do everything to you to make you lose your place, to make you skip over, to make you think, that you're losing your mind, maybe. To make you look like you're losing your mind, even if you aren't, which is why it is not recommended that you call the cops if you suspect someone's been in your house. If you know someone's been in your house, and the cops can know it too, you will have to have physical evidence. You'll have to have a door that's kicked in, which gang stalkers do not do. Gang stalkers break in using credit cards, pins, they get the keys from someone, or they make friends with the maintenance guys, because the maintenance guys have access to the keys. Or they make friends with the management because the management has access to the keys. They get the keys from them. How do they do this? They badmouth you. They show them false paperwork. They can show them false paperwork saying that you are under investigation by the CIA for whatever. And most managers do not check up on this. They will not Making a phone call doesn't work because their phone's probably going to be redirected anyway. That's all planned in advance. They will not go down to the station to find out if it's true. They're just going to accept it. Now, I have run into business owners who have refused to listen to the gang stalkers because they know the game. They've been through it before. They've seen them screw over other people. Also, I think the gang stalkers don't understand that there's a lot of people out there whose own mothers were harassed and abused and stalked and all of these other things by their fathers when they broke up. So they've seen a lot of the people that are, seeing other people get gang stalked have seen that same thing happen to family members, usually women. Women are in the top 90% of maybe more. I can count up to 95%, 90% of, people who are being gang stalked and harassed are female. Okay? So that is a real thing. It's almost all women. And I'm not sure, but there's various reasons for that. For one thing, guys who are getting abused will tend to fight back. They tend to be more violent. They will go to war. They will totally and absolutely, they can become violent. Also, the thing is that if you are going ahead and experiencing this, and that you are a man or a woman, doesn't matter, that you will also feel the need to call the cops. You will want to call the cops, but like I said, don't do it unless they kick your door in. Don't do it unless there's a broken window. Don't do it unless you have evidence that somebody broke into your house. If you call the cops and say, look, this vandalism happened here, there's all these threads pulled out here, stuff is missing, that salt shaker belongs over here, that pepper shaker belongs over there, then the cops can also be complicit in this. And they will, of course, listen to who's telling them you're the bad guy, because that's what they do. That's their job, I guess. But they listen to whoever's talking to them. And some of them, let's face it, there's a certain small percentage of cops that are dirty. Dirty cops working with mobsters, okay? So that does happen too, and they're going to not want to find anything. They're going to just automatically write you up as crazy, ask you if you took your medication, maybe even drive you to a mental institution, and boom, that's when it happens. As soon as you get that diagnosis as mentally ill, then it gives the gangs and the bad guys more power to go after you, because now everything's plausible deniability. Hey, I'm missing $500 out of my account. Are you sure you just didn't spend it yourself? Because, you are a little woo-hoo, So they can throw that at them all the time, right? So once you call the cops on this kind of thing, this kind of harassment, etc., then it will become much more difficult for you. Like I said, and sometimes that doesn't even matter. I mean, there was a woman in San Antonio, Texas, who broke up with her boyfriend. She owned a house. I guess he was living off of her or with her or something. So anyway, she broke up with him. He was abusive to her. And so that's why a lot of women break up with guys, is that they're abusive to them. But you have to remember that if they're abusive to you when you're living with them, they're going to keep trying to be abusive to you after you break up with them, okay? So the abuse will continue, especially with narcissistic personality disordered people. Those people, once they lose a victim, they have to find another victim really fast, because they are so damaged and they have all this hatred to release towards their parents, towards their mother, towards their father. It's ripping out their chest, okay? There's all this hatred coming out, and they need to put it on someone. They need that someone to put it on. If they lose their target for some reason through death, or maybe moves to the Congo in Africa, they can't abuse them anymore through gang stalking, they have to find another target right away, or else they will crack. They will have so much venom inside of them for whatever happened to them as children that has to be released, okay? So but there was this one woman who broke up with this guy, and she had the house, she had a lot of stuff, and what happened is she goes home. I'm not sure there was even a sign of a break-in with the door. I don't think the door was kicked in. It might have been. I don't remember that. But what I do remember is that there was a big hole in the wall, huge hole in the wall, and her jewelry box, which was gigantic, it was a safe. Actually, she had her jewelry in a safe, and the safe was opened. Nobody had the combination to the safe. Nobody could get into the safe, but yet it was opened, which is not unusual because they can get into anything. And but nothing was stolen. Everything was just laid out because the gang stalkers know that once they steal something, you can make a police report. So they're careful not to steal anything. If they steal something, it's going to be something small. Like for me, they'll sell stuff I buy at the 99-cent store. They'll steal little inky pitty crap. I don't know if they're getting paid well enough or whatever. But, and a lot of it they won't return. Sometimes they'll return it the next day or the next 3 days just to make you think you're crazy, which we already know we're not, right? We already know we're being gang stalked. But they try to keep it so that you don't have a good reason to call the cops. So anyway, she went and she had all this stuff happen. Big hole in her wall, the safe being wide open, but nothing was stolen. So at that point, she calls the cops. Cops come in, see this huge hole in her wall. That should have done it. That's super vandalism. I don't know why cops would not, note that. That's noteworthy because that's vandalism, and it's heavy duty vandalism too. I mean, to get that big hole patched up is going to cost $100 or $200 at least. Maybe more. So I think that the cops really made a mistake on that one. I think that but the thing is, like I said, sometimes the cops are complicit in gang stalking. This is for many reasons. There's a huge male population in the police force. Some of them have been divorced. Some of them feel like they were run over the fires during the divorce, like they got screwed during the divorce or whatever, or they just come out of it hating women in general. So they kind of transfer that hatred that they have against their mothers and their wives to you. Then you become the new, dump for all their bad feelings. Okay, so we do have cops who are human beings, and they're going to act like human beings, and they have abusive parents too, like everybody else in the world. They have abusive relationships like everybody else in the world might have, but they are unable to keep it together. They can't hold it together. And they have all that power at that point, so, but I'm only talking about a small population, okay, of law enforcement. It doesn't mean everybody in law enforcement is into it. I had somebody who told me recently that police officers are all corrupt. And I said, no, they are not. I have met some really good police officers, and I know that they're not all corrupt. There's good cops out there, and they don't want anything to do with this stupid crap. They just want to go save lives. That's what they wanted to do when they were 7 years old. They've always wanted to be heroes, and they don't get sidetracked. They don't get sidetracked by stupid stuff. They just stay on the ball, save children, save women, save kittens in trees, save people. That is what they're focused on. And that's what they should all be focused on. But like I said, people are people. They're going to act like people, okay? So all forgiven, all understood, all forgiven. No hard feelings. I'm telling you the truth now. With a master's in clinical psychology, I know how horrific it is that some kids have it. I have friends who have told me the horrific things that their fathers and mothers have done to them. So I know that the outcome of that, and I understand and have an understanding for them and would rather help them. Even if they make crazy mistakes like hurting other people, I wish that they would just feel better. You know what I mean? I want them to feel better in their heart so they can relax and chill and just let people be people and do their thing. And I really mean that. I have no axe to grind against anybody, law enforcement or anybody else. I just don't really care. I'm only saying this because when you're dealing with law enforcement, because of their issues that they're having, they might stick up for the bad guys over you because of something that happened with someone who looks like you, their mother, their girlfriend. Maybe just because you have breasts, and everybody who harassed them was female. And so, hell, you must be one of them too. And there are guys who think that all women are evil. There are. I mean, they're out there. And then usually it started with their mother. If you talk to them, you'll see their mother was bad. And then they kind of, maybe they keep going on, maybe meeting bad guys, bad women all the way. I don't really know. Or so thinking that women are bad because of that, even if they're not. But don't call the cops. That's my main point here. Don't call the cops unless, I mean, if there's a hole in your wall, call the cops, okay? That's obvious. But if it's stuff like somebody got into your home while you were sleeping, somebody got into your home while you were at work, and there's no signs of a break-in, and there's no signs of, and the TV isn't missing, and there's no signs of anything else going missing, you're not going to have a prayer. They're not going to believe you. And honestly, they don't even have the manpower to keep track of all the people that are being gang stalked. They don't even have a code for that. I mean, you know, they can barely get to people who are in trouble. They can barely, depending on what city you're in, the cops don't have enough time to even get to people who are getting beaten up or kids who are being kidnapped or, you know, they have a mess of things to do. So they're not going to investigate that your salt shaker was in one part of your house and your pepper shaker was in the other part of your house. Even if they believed you, they're just not going to devote resources to it. Okay, so, which sometimes you can think is pretty crazy because you're thinking, well, yeah, a human life is less valuable than a car, because if a car is stolen, they'll go over and fingerprint it and everything else. But, you know, a woman living alone who has a crazy ex-boyfriend is not entitled to the same protections of, like, dusting the doorknobs or whatever for fingerprints. You know, the people who are being gang stalked don't, I guess their bodies and minds aren't as important as a car. And we just have to accept that as fact, okay? That is just the way it is. I don't think they have the manpower to do it anyway. But, you know, there are still things that you can do about it. I'm telling you right now, I have seen every lock out there. I've heard every story you can imagine. And once you leave that house, and you leave it alone, even if you have a dog or a killer dog like you might think you have, they can get into your house. I have a guy who had a really special super lock. He went through a company to get it. He worked with the company one-on-one, and in order to get in his door, you had to have a 17-digit code. Now, granted, it took them a little longer to get in, but after about 2 months, they were able to get in that house. Whether they bribed the guys at the lock shop that she got it from, whether they turned the guys at the lock shop against her, told them that she was a bitch just like their mother, and got them on their side to get this bitch. Whatever the reason, you know, some people will give away the codes, will not be on your side, will not be helpful towards you. Also, let's see, the other reasons people might be gang stalked. Basically, like I said, if you're in line for a job and there's somebody else who's in line for the same job, and that other person thinks that you're probably going to get the job, or you're smarter than them, or you're better than them, or they're feeling insecure, they could start having you gang stalked and harassed because they want that job. Of course, we're talking about a high power job, something that they're going to make 6 figures a year or something like that. And so, you know, 5 figures isn't going to cut it. It's going to have to be 6 figures or better. And then, yeah, they might invest some money into getting you out of the way. Okay, so I think the most dangerous thing about the gang stalking is the gassing. The gassing can cause tooth decay. You can end up having all your teeth removed. You can end up having neuropathy where you can't walk and where you're in a lot of pain and suffering. You can wind up having all your hair fall out. I mean, there's different gases that they use. These gases contain microbes and or bacteria for the most part, and it's the bacteria and the microbes that do the dirty work. Okay, so if you're coming home and noticing things aren't quite right, things are not in the places they were, things are missing that were there when you left in the morning, anything different, like maybe even some mild but noticeable vandalism, you are probably targeted. Also, the gang stalking outside the house. Now, some people, they will, some gang stalkers, it depends on how much the customer buys. If the customer buys gang stalking against an individual, and it is a purchase, okay? If somebody buys gang stalking against an individual, but says, hey, you know what, just scare her a little bit while she's driving her car and, I don't know, ruin her reputation, then that's all they're going to do, and it's going to be a cheaper charge, okay? But there are some people who say, bring them down, destroy them, I hate her, I hate women are bitches, kill her, those guys, and that's going to cost extra money. Or they can do it in trade, okay? So there's trading with gangsters too. So you can tell the gangsters, hey, I will work for you do some jobs for you. I will do some dirty jobs for you in exchange for this. But, once they do that, they're in trouble because then they're not getting out, okay? Matter of fact, doing any kind of money exchange with gangsters is probably a bad idea because then they kind of got your number. You know what I mean? I would have suggest all men and women who are out there listening, thinking about going through gangsters to seek revenge, to think about that twice because you're in with bad company at that point. There's going to be issues that you have not counted on, okay? There are people who tried to leave gang stalking who were seriously abused or even killed afterwards. I don't think leaving gang stalking is even an option. I don't know if you can. I think that you can if you have a good sob story. You cry a little bit. Oh, my kids. Oh, my wife, my kids. Oh, my daddy. Oh, you have a big sob story. Yeah, maybe they'll go, oh, okay, shut up, get out of here, I don't care. But, and that's true. They really don't care. So that is a primer for you to understand that you might be getting gang stalked, okay? Slander, illegal entry into your home without making it look like anyone was there. Taking valuables, taking invaluables, taking stuff from the 99-cent store, taking things and putting them back, switching things all around. Dirtying things up is a big one. They like to dirty up everything in your home to make it look like that you are incapable psychologically. Like you can't take care of yourself, okay? So that's one thing. So you got to be on it. You got to be on it. You got to be clean all the time. You got to work. And let me tell you, it's good for you anyway. It keeps you healthy. Keeps you healthy and keeps you moving. So dirtying things up, causing illness, causing serious illness, not just mild illness sometimes, causing a lot of physical discomfort, and it was small but noticeable vandalism, vandalizing your automobiles, illegal entry into your cars, illegal entry into your homes. Poisoning of pets will sometimes happen as well. But you have to, in order to prove that, you're going to actually have to go down and talk to somebody, a veterinarian. You have to take your animal veterinarian and find out if they've been poisoned or not. And by the way, they're going to make everything look normal and natural. So even if you took your animal to a veterinarian, it's possible that when they poisoned him, they used some rotten meat or something that they knew he would die of anyway, or, and then the veterinarian would say, well, geez, it's just bad food, that's all it is. So, they can't even be apprehended using that method either. But I want to talk more in the coming days about how to know if you're being gang stalked, what you can do about the weapons that they use against you, and many more things. So thank you very much. This is Cathy Meadows. If you're still watching, hit a thumbs up at least on this video. And subscribe. I do subscribe and get all alerts, because what I want to do eventually is go live and then be able to, you can join me live online on YouTube, and they will alert you that I'm online, or that I've cut a video, or that I'm going live. And then, I'm sometimes up in the middle of the night, and wouldn't it be nice for those of us who are targeted, who are up in the middle of the night, to be able to say, oh wow, somebody to talk to at 3 a.m, I'm going there, I mean, you're not alone. You're going to have people with you. So thank you very much for joining me. This is Cathy Meadows, and take care of yourself. Talk soon.